This is a Sal Pal Friday. We will bring in ESPN senior NFL correspondent Sal Paolantonio here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Thanks to our guy Johnny G and the Burger Realty team in Ocean City. Always giving us a nice dose of Sal Paolantonio on a Sal Pal Friday. It always feels good on these Fridays when the Eagles win that previous week. And I don't know, a surprise victory. I know you picked them to win last week, Sal, as I did as well. But 32-6, and now every time I turned around this week on the television, there was Sal Paolantonio live from the NovaCare Complex covering the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. Sal, what's going on, man?
Michael, I'm doing good. And, yeah, of course, we picked the Birds because we knew the Falcons were an inferior team, but no one predicted 32-6. They were definitely the surprise team of week one. There's no question about it. I thought they had the most impressive win of any team. You go on the road with a rookie head coach, rookie DC, rookie OC, a quarterback who's got 4 starts in his NFL career, and you wax him 32-6. That's an accomplishment. I don't care who you're playing or where you're playing them.
No question. So one of the things that I've been kind of asking the listeners throughout the week and getting a variety of answers is, from the game Sunday, what is sustainable? Something that maybe you're like, wow, I can't believe they did this, but that it will be sustainable throughout the rest of the season.
I would say 2 things if you were asking me that question. I would say, one, they didn't give up the big play because Jonathan Gannon, the new defensive coordinator, is going to play 2 high safeties, and he's going to have deep coverage from those safeties, and they're going to keep everything in front of him. You and I have talked about this all summer. I mentioned it in my Instagram posts last week. It was one of the keys to the game that I talked about on your show last Friday. And I think, to answer your question, that is sustainable because of the philosophy and approach of this defensive coordinator. I would say, number 2, what is sustainable is that this team is well coached. They had great alignment and assignment football. Mike, you didn't see very many missed blocks when you go back and you watch the tape of the offense. I didn't think this team was a very good tackling team at the end of last year. They were a good tackling team on Sunday. So I think alignment, assignment football, well-coached football, those things are going to be sustainable, not giving up the big play. Now, in the second category, what is we hope to be sustainable would have to be, number 1, they didn't turn the ball over against Atlanta.
Correct.
If Jalen Hurts does not turn the ball over or keeps the turnovers to a minimum, this team will win football games. This team will win a lot of football games.
Right. Well,
No
it's something, it was one of your, last week, the keys were get Matt Ryan off his spot. I think you saw that. Their defensive line really controlled. Hargrave had a tremendous impact. Also, Ridgeway, they were getting pressure up the middle, getting him off the spot. That was one of your keys. The other was simple, don't turn the ball over, but he didn't do that, and he knew when to get rid of the ball. There were times when there was no play there, and he just said, all right, I'll live to fight another day. That was a huge problem in the previous season, correct?
Yeah, I mean, anybody who has a modicum of knowledge about what went on here last year, or any coach or scout who was self-scouting the Eagles as they did, like Sirianni did last year before he even took over in the spring, his talking point to Jalen Hurts since the get-go, meetings in April, practices in May, training camp in July and August, talking point going into the game, which I mentioned to you yet last week, was just don't turn the ball over and don't give up the easy sack. Those were the 2 things that absolutely plagued and imploded the football team last year.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Yesterday we had a former Eagles assistant on the show, and he made the reference of, look, the team invested a lot of money into offensive weapons, and they just didn't get the job done. I mean, he didn't call out Wentz by name, but he said we invested a lot of money draft picks in wide receivers, in the quarterback position, and didn't get the job done. Now, this year, they have a first-round pick. They've got a first-round pick receiver last year. So they do have some high draft capital. How are the wide receivers able to perform differently? Part of which, and the coach did mention the offensive line being the way it was last year, really affected the way they called games. But that should really help Sirianni call a game with this offensive line the way they played.
Well, there's a number of questions you got there, Mike. Let's start with the offensive line, and then we'll work back to the wide receivers and the offense as a whole. Number one, all 5 starters on the offensive line played all 71 offensive snaps. The first time that happened last year was Week 8. So they finished the game and did so strongly. Secondly, the passing lanes were open because it's now clearly an RPO-based offense, run-passed option. And when you're an RPO offense, who does the quarterback read? He reads the safety. He reads the middle linebacker. And who's frozen on the other side of the field, depending on where the ball's going? The safety and the middle linebacker. And that allows you to do a lot of different things than you couldn't do, because now you have to dedicate one of those 11 hats on defense to the running quarterback, Jalen Hurts. He can run, and he can run very effectively. Mm-hmm. So the offense is designed for the quarterback to be a threat as a runner. When you look at go back on my Instagram on Sal Paolantonio ESPN, we posted a video breakdown of Gainwell's touchdown. And watch Jalen Hurts' ability to manipulate the football and, freeze the strong safety and the outside edge rusher to his right. I invite people to go back and watch it. Put it on your Twitter. Go back and watch it. And watch how Jalen Hurts, because he's a running threat, freezes the strong safety and the edge rusher to his right. And Gainwell waltzes into the end zone, and a defender is not within 3 yards of him.
I'll tell you, I like the play that you break down. There's so many things there. The offensive line up front, I mean, Sayamala, I thought had a really good game, and of the 5 guys on the line, he gets the least amount of fanfare. But the double team that him and Kelsey get, and then Mailata just absolutely dominates his guy. The Red Sea parts on that thing too. I mean, there was nobody. The 5 guys up front. Now they're going to have a different challenge this week up front, but for 1 week, those 5 guys really, really told the story, man.
Well, Michael, we don't want to compare Atlanta to San Francisco. If you look at that film that's on my Instagram, there are very few willing tacklers in an Atlanta uniform.
Right.
That's not going to be the case on Sunday when the Niners come in. The Niners have first-round picks all along the offensive line. They got a monster in Bosa. Their linebackers are terrific. Now, one of them, Dre Greenlaw, has a little bit of a groin issue, and that could be problematic. But up and down that defense, they play with a level of ferocity, and they tackle well. Now, they allowed the Lions to climb back in that game last week. They were up 31-10. The Lions climbed back in, and I was interested in going back and watching it to see what kind of defense D'Amico Ryans, their defensive coordinator, who's a rookie play caller, called, and I thought they got caught in some bad looks, and Jared Goff, of all people, exploited it. I think that the key was last year, the Niners defense, if you look at the fantasy football numbers, the Niners defense were number 1 against tight ends in passing yards and touchdowns by tight ends. But T.J. Hawkinson was targeted 10 times and caught 9 balls last week. So that bears watching. If you're looking at this game, Goddard and Ertz, last year against the Niners probably would have been shut down. This year, based on what I saw, and the results, Ertz and Goddard could be in a good game this weekend.
Conversely, Sal, last year in the game, Kittle had 15 catches on 15 targets for 183 yards. I don't know. Do you just let him have his day?
No. No, I forgot to bring that up. But yeah, conversely speaking, and it's not because I was avoiding it, but that is a very, very, very good point. If you're just going to have Garoppolo play action, pitch and catch with Kittle, I don't think you're going to win the game.
Right. Now, yesterday we talked with Ryan Paganetti, who was a linebacker coach with the Eagles last year. He's also a very interesting story. I don't know if you know Ryan's, he's the guy with the game management and a lot of the fourth down analytics stuff. He suggested that the 49ers' outside weapons don't scare you enough that you can use Slay on Kittle on third and obvious passing situations. You jive with that?
Yeah, I don't totally. I think Deebo Samuel is a pretty scary player.
He had a big game in week one. There's no question about that. What do you have, like 180 yards in week one, too? So, yeah, this is definitely a different I do want to ask you about,
By the way, I'm a big, big fan of the Paganetti brothers. If you read this book that came out called Philly Special, The Untold Story of the Philadelphia Eagles' first Super Bowl championship, have you read that book?
I have gone through that book. I do know the author.
If you read that book, the Paganetti brothers play a very, very big role in that book, as you know, because Doug Peterson relied quite a bit on both of them.
Yeah, and he was very informative with some of the things that he brought to our conversation yesterday, and one of them was with
very smart man,
yes.
smart man.
All right, so this is very interesting because San Francisco's got some injury issues this week. That wasn't in the conversation earlier, but they've got a bunch of guys kind of banged up here. So Sal Pal's keys for this week will be what?
Mike, I think the Eagles are going to climb back into the game, and I think they're going to win it on a late field goal, 27-24.
Climb back into the game, 27-24 Eagles. All right, so they have to climb back into the game. How'd they get behind?
I think the Niners have, the ability to move the football, and I think the X factor is Trey Lance. I think with Mostert hurt, I think we'll see more Trey Lance in this football game. He'll open things up because you got to dedicate somebody to him as a running quarterback. I think he's a real weapon in the red zone and down near the goal line.
Let me ask you about the deal the Eagles made with Mailata. Obviously, 4 years, he got big-time money. How do you like that matchup with Bosa? How's that going to go?
I'm going to venture a guess that Jordan Mailata is now officially the richest rugby player from the country of Australia.
That would probably
he plays a hell of a ukulele and guitar. I don't know if you've ever seen him on Instagram, but he can really sing and play the guitar.
I'll tell you, he's endearing himself to the fan base. Let's say that, right?
Yeah, he's a multi-talented dude and a real nice guy. And I think they got to give him help with Bosa.
Yeah, right. One of the I texted you.
There's no shame in that because everybody's got to get help with Bosa. And you know what? Last week, Michael, in the game I was at, if the Buffalo Bills had given their tackles help with T.J. Watt, they would have won that game.
Right. I was going to say, I texted you last week. Your stand-up was outstanding in Buffalo. I don't know how you got the whole crowd in unison behind you to get involved like that, but that game was a little bit of a surprise the way it went. But as you said, the Pittsburgh defense was tremendous last week.
Michael, did anybody watch the Super Bowl? Did anybody watch the Bucs wreck the Kansas City Chiefs' chances of repeating because the Chiefs decided they were going to block the Bucs with just 5 guys?
Right.
And, are these guys watching the game? Watch the game. Because what's happening is, if you can't block them with 5, Mike, block them with 6. If you can't block them with 6, block them with 7.
I'm glad you brought this up, though, because you emailed me this week that stat, 10%. What we talk about? The Eagles don't blitz enough. They don't blitz. The 6 teams at the bottom of that list who blitzed the least, they all won last week.
Yeah.
Eagles, 10%. They blitzed 10. What was it? Pittsburgh blitzed what? 1%.
1%.
1% last week. Crazy.
Yeah, but you know what? That's because T.J. Watt went out and cashed that check from Mr. Rooney. He got so excited he decided to wreck the football game.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, you get $84 million. That's a lot of marijuana. That's a lot of, okay, I got some adrenaline. I could pretty much, I'll fly to the moon tomorrow. No problem.
By the way, as you brought up on Wednesday's Sports Center, the Jalen Hurts, is it too much hype? What do you think?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think it's too much hype. No. I mean, if I'm going to say it again. If he doesn't turn the ball over, they don't win a lot of games. They have enough players on this roster to win football games.
Yep. Well, as you said in the offseason, Sal, if the quarterback last year just was mediocre, they probably win a handful more games. So
they probably win the division. And Mike, you know what? The bottom line is the Niners match up very well against the Eagles. This is not going to be an easy game to win. The Niners are a good team. They got a good O-line, good D-line, good linebackers. Samuel and Kittle, Garoppolo can win football games. The core of that team can play football.
Sal Pal says 27-24 Eagles. They come from behind to win that game. That should be a nice link. And by the way, Lincoln Financial Field will have people in it for the first time, real people for the first time in a long time. That'll be a sight to see as well, I'm sure. 20
months without fans. It's going to be great.
Yeah. All right, my man. Sal Paolantonio live. Are you going to be in Philadelphia? They sending you to Philly?
Live from the confluence of I-95 and the Schuylkill Expressway in the concrete jungle of South Philadelphia.
Sal Paolantonio, Sal Pal Friday. Thanks to our guys, Johnny G, Burger Realty. Make sure Johnny G's a part of your call if you need to find something in the Ocean City area. All right, Sal. Enjoy it.
Thanks, Michael.